Hello, Mark. Mark, are you there, Mark? My name is Nicholas. We're live from Bloemfontein, and this is me, Mark. Do you know what my favorite movie is, Mark? My favorite movie is District 9, Mark. No, lekker, lekker, bokka, bokka, bokka. Welcome to Dropped Kickoff. How was that, guys? Was that pretty good? Definitely not pissing off anyone. You know, we are in fact a podcast. We're not just a shit posting Twitter channel that has pissed off a lot of South Africans over the last week. We're back again, Nathan. They've returned. All of them have returned.
Well. Look how the turns table. You couldn't be comfortable with 2 wins in a row, and look what it brought you back. Shit posting with us.
I know, shit posting with us. Though I will say we also have Nick Hartman joining us on the pod. Hello, Nick. I appreciate you and your efforts. I'm disappointed, Nick. It's not as much as I have been, having fun with all the banter with all the box on Twitter. No municipal council this time. Bit disappointing.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be pretty hard for us to get cancelled. They're pretty easy to fight back. Yeah, mate, bizarre, absolutely bizarre kind of gear going on. Really kind of sad, to be frank. I mean, one guy was messaging us at like 6 a.m. and it's just like, bro, just go to work. What are you talking about? And maybe Nathan, you're preparing to launch into this. The thing that sucks is like on the face of it, it's like whatever happened at that game, like I hardly remember. It was a mess, right? We had 14 on the field and the assistant ref had to go hang on those 15. It's a mess. And you kind of want to go, actually, what are the rules there? Fine. But it's just in all contexts. It's Lou Diaga saying, oh, it's a bit weird that Angus Bell went off, right? The constant, Rosie Erasmus doing that 3-hour piece of camera about everything that the ref got wrong. It's just, it's just fucking bizarre. It's shit because this is honestly one of the best teams ever. We're so blessed to have the All Blacks from a couple of years ago in terms of just being rugby fans, the All Blacks and this team. Is Erasmus the best rugby's coach ever? Maybe, did whoever that guy was before him make him looking fantastic? I can't remember that coach's name, but when
never did.
No, not him. He's talking about Coetzee. Alistair Coetzee back when Box were losing to Italy and all that, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just a fucking shame. Like, yeah, you are fucking world champs. Good on you. And you're a fucking fantastic rugby team. You post your team on Tuesdays because you're so fucking confident that you're going to win. You play the same guys every week. You have some of the best players on the bench. And you kind of go, that's weird. Is that a deliberate tactic? And then the guys who start, I'm thinking Bongi and Malcolm Marx. And Bongi turns out to be just as good as Malcolm Marx. Like, it's just fucking insane. I think they're down, their 5th choice or 6th choice, second row for this AB's team. And it's a guy who's only recently started playing for the Box and already a world beater. Like, it's fucking fantastic, man. And it's just a shame that they're fucking shitheads. And I mean generally, right? There's this guy who's quite sophisticated on Twitter. And I know this is kind of an insular chat here. But there's a guy, I don't really want to name him, but I know he lives in London and he presents himself as a sophisticated or cultured rugby fan. I am certain he quit Twitter after the FAFTA clerk Nick White incident because he was so angry. Like, it's just a fucking illness.
It's the illness you talk about. It's sort of to bring this back to, firstly, the whole scenario around, because we may as well start at this sort of scrum drum as well. That all comes back from the idea of, I think I put it in a tweet, like, we depowered our rolling maul. They then score all the tries and then still complain. It's like, what are we doing here? But I sort of gets me thinking where it comes from. And this whole thing on Twitter, and let's face it, we've been talking shit, expecting other people to talk shit back. That's just been way too. They've just gone to and taken it to another level of how easy it is just to sort of reel them in. And it's what happens when sport becomes more than just sport. Like, myself and Nick are very lucky that we get to work in sport and call it a job. But for most people, it's an escape. It's entertainment. But when you look at people like like Indians when it comes to cricket side, Serbians when it comes to Novak Djokovic. When the sports people become bigger than just people that hit a ball and, you know, maybe run fast or lift high or do whatever adjective you want to describe, it then becomes, when something negative happens, whether it's a loss or maybe a 50-50 call, 51-49 call, it doesn't go your way, it, instead of just becoming you know what, we're just going to move on, enjoy our life, we'll go down the beach, becomes an attack on their national identity. And that's where just the whole spirit of what sport is and what it's all about is just completely lost by these certain people. And it's certain people. Like, most South Africans fans are probably calm and don't really give a shit. Are just going to celebrate their team. But it's these people that decide to taking it further and further and having to bring up other shit. And you're like, guys, we respect everything you do. We respect, in terms of the team. You guys thumped us. We weren't complaining about the result or the sort of the HIAs that came with it. But you still have to go out and just make complaints and still try and find something wrong and find this conspiracy, this almost weaponize this negativity when, you know, it sort of gets to the point where when they don't win or when something goes slightly wrong, it can't be a sheer mistake. Something has to be against it. And that's where we start getting into dangerous territory. We find that we can throw out a little bit of harmless banter that would just get generally ignored, that all of a sudden is just getting all these South Africans at all the different times of the world just going absolutely ballistic.
It is amazing and kind of insane. And to be honest, I know that some people are like, oh, they're so triggered. No, like it's just been, it's kind of been hilarious. Just like, I think we found it genuinely entertaining seeing the levels that people will actually go to. And in the headspace, I'm like, thank God I'm not reaching that point of absolute delusion. I mean, to cap this kind of off before we go talking about the Wallabies squad, I mean, I did a satire piece, which actually came, Nathan, you'd be delighted to know based off your tweet that you did about talking about how ridiculous it was that by removing Angus Bell, basically it comes down to Angus Bell because Alan Alatoa, you know, was about the HIA, and then of course Slipper goes down. So it was I think the whole thing stems from the fact that Bell had come off the field and he didn't return back on the field, despite the fact that Joe Schmidt has been doing that with all of the props this entire year, despite the fact that it was Angus Bell's first game back in several months after recovering from a significant foot injury.
Most importantly, despite the fact that he was injury subbed off, which means you can't bring him back on.
Yes. We deliberately, we did it all. It was all done to neutralize the Springbok scrum, even though it completely screws up our line out and our rolling maul, which means that the bomb squad still fired anyway and still beat us 30-12. It's not enough. It's not enough. You had to beat us more. That's what they're upset about, essentially at the core of it. And I look at that logic and I think it's stupid. It's objectively ridiculous and it's objectively stupid. And you're a fucking idiot if you genuinely think that there is a conspiracy theory here. So, and the fact that people are looking at this ridiculous angle, which is kind of comes through here, I think nails it. Some of the people are looking at that article and taking it at face value because there's no other way to write about it other than satire, because the angle and line that they're peddling is ridiculous. To use, you know what? Let's lose 4 props, some of the biggest players on the field, and let's lose them. Play with 14 men. Of course, there is the whole the officials allowed 15 to go back on the field, but that's something out of our control. Let's use that. Let's lose that. That will give us a chance to beat the Box. Just to diffuse, just the scrum. Ignore the line out. Ignore the general play. Ignore everything else. They'll still be very effective there. They'll still be very handy there. All you can do is laugh at it. And I think that's probably a good place to sum it up. And if the Box fans want to keep running at us and complaining at us and telling us we're salty boys, do it. It's great for our engagement. I will say that we're having we'll keep talking the talk if you need to. But that's the reality of it. And I think Alan Alatoa's reaction to it when he was asked that question, and he was like, "Do they seriously think I faked a HIA?" Sums it up perfectly. Like, It's ridiculous. Mental. But anyway, let's move on from random banter and complaints and complaints about a Springboks side that will complain about Australia, but at the same time fly a jet, release fireworks, and play music while the All Blacks are doing the haka, then score contentious tries. Let's talk about Argentina and the Wallabies and talk about this squad, particularly for match 2. Of course, Wallabies prevailed in the first match in La Plata, 19-20, winning after the bell, pretty much bang on the bell, with, even give or take that contentious call about whether there was going to be a restart or not. 19-20, it's a win, and there are a couple of changes happening in this squad. And the first question I want to ask is, and Nick, I'll throw to you. First of all, do we think, before we dive into the squad specifically, can the Wallabies go back-to-back, and what does it mean if they do?
Can they go back-to-back? Of course they can. I was quite pumped about the game on the weekend. I thought it was one of those performances that we're dying for as Wallabies fans. Calm, kind of composed. We got over in very difficult conditions against a very good team as well, a team that just dusted the ABs and playing at home. So, look, of course, hopeful. I think we can play pretty well. This is a bit poetic and all that, but I'm a bit worried about Donaldson coming back in, just because I was there at the Georgia game and he played like absolute shit. So hopefully, he plays well coming in. And what does it mean? Look, what it means is that we're on the good side of average. We're above average rather than below average coming out of the AB team. The Argentina, again, they're a really good team. But, also they did come to the semi-final. Yep, got to the semi-final World Cup. Great. But also, who were above them? ABs and Kiwis. And I don't think they beat either of those teams on their way to the semi-final. So, they're a good team. It'd be great to beat them away from home. And if we beat them, then we're above average and we're on track. I think, all this wailing, I'm going to call him out. I'm going to call him Dylan Langes, my friend of the pod, losing his mind after the first game against the Box. But look, Box are an amazing team, like we said. So I think if we come away, then we can be confident about the Bledisloe. Confident, though, but, not delusional.
Realistic but optimistic. I think
that's a better way of phrasing it. Yeah.
I think just building off Nick's point, like, you look at those sort of first 5 games we faced, like Wales, we realize are a bit average. If another A word stands out, they're arse. I'll just put it out. At the moment, they are just arse. So you win those 2 games. You then beat a Georgian side, which is tier 2, and then instantly I'm saying, you're winning 3 in a row. Face a generational Springbok side and go out there and win. Like, the reality of the situation is this was the first actual test of where we are, as Nick sort of alluded to. The win shows we're above average. We can compete with the top 5, top 6 nations in the world on our day. And, it's not all hope is lost after those Springbok losses. So I think that was almost a return to Rennie ways of just a team that just fought and dug deep and stayed calm. And, you never sort of, personally, I never sort of got to a point where I was like, all right, this game's lost. We're not going to, let's just try and salvage a close defeat here with some positive points. There was always that sense of, all right, no, they're fine. They'll find something. They'll kick back into it. And yeah, that's a win like that in Argentina. It's huge. It's massive for the confidence heading forward.
Yeah, I think it was Ben Alexander who kind of tweeted, and he said of all the places, he did like a list of hardest places to play in the world. And I think Argentina came in at number 2 or 3 in his opinion, just because of the sheer passion that the fans have. Ignore the record, ignore the fact that Australia has a more favourable record over Argentina than they do over other places that are high on that list, like New Zealand or South Africa. It's just that crowd's there. That audience is there, and that they are really willing that team on. Let's talk squad. Nick Hartman, I'll throw to you first for the front row. We've got Angus Bell, Matty Fessler, and Taniela Tupou starting, with Josh Nasser as the reserve hooker, James Slipper and Alan Alatoa on the bench. is this our strongest forward pack? Like in terms of Nathan and I talked about it last week. We talked about how, the only thing that probably would be slightly off is the fact that Slipper was away last week when we had Isaac Kalir on. Do you reckon this is the strongest side? This is the strongest starting three we can possibly have, and bench as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, go back to South African conflict for a split second. It's just great to have Angus Belt and Dongan Thor back. I mean, what a fucking difference they make. To answer your question, probably Slipper and Alan Alatoa, like, they're good, they're dependable. I just don't feel they're at the top of their game as they were. But, it'd be great to see Isaac Clear come through. Look, I saw someone on Twitter talking about Archer Holtz at the Waratahs. Julian Heaven, who just came up from Shoot Shield and he's, not lost in Super Rugby. So it'd be great to see some guys coming through and getting more chances, like Fezler, for example, who I thought he's grown throughout the Rugby Championship, and he had a fairly good game on the weekend, despite the fact that it was rainy. And our line-out was awful, again, granted against the Box, but great to see him come through and go on crisp, and everyone's work around the park's fucking fantastic. Especially given that the joke is that the backs don't do anything, but literally, Andrew Kellaway had one pass. That was his only action in the first half in Argentina. So, just because of Joe Smith's game plan, very vertical, so it's like fantastic. I think I'm really happy. I just hope to God that Angus Bell doesn't do his toe or foot.
That's the one. Yeah, I know. Just feels like that, doesn't it? Yes, I know. You pray, cross the heart, everything that Bell stays okay, because when he's on form and when he gets form under his belt, he looks fantastic, and you could see that even against the Box. I thought coming back from an injury, he looked loads better. Second row, Mr. Williamson. We've got
What injury?
What injury? Yeah, that's right. I don't know what. There's no injuries around here. Mr. Williamson, we've got a couple of changes in the second row. Nick Frost retains his position to earn his 19th cap. Jeremy Williams, Western Force store, comes into the starting side. And as a result, we see the 16th debutant of the year, which is, I think, the most number of debutants that the Wallabies have had since 1928 or something? It's like a very specific record. But Josh Canham,
like that, yeah.
Josh Canham, Melbourne Rebels' own Josh Canham from the Harlequins will make his debut for the Wallabies.
Yeah, I mean, this comes off a sort of a knock that Lekker Leto copped during the game. I believe it was his shoulder. Just copped a little stinger that's just limited his range of motion. Joe Schmidt said today, and Joe's very big on if you can't train Monday, Tuesday, you're just going to sit out the week. Hence why there was no Tom Wright and no Alessio as well. But I'm excited for Josh Canham off the bench. I think he's another one of these like Nick Frost prototype blocks who are just freakishly tall, quick, athletically gifted, and someone who I think has really honed his craft under Jeff Parling as a lineout caller, who deserves a lot of credit for what he's done at this Wallaby side as well. Like, that defensive lineout is an absolute beast, and he has come in and just turned it around like you wouldn't believe. And I guess Jeremy Williams coming in is another person that can just slot in that LSL mode of just getting up there and disrupting ball and making sure that their life's a living hell at that stage. So I like the second row balance. Like, Lekker obviously showed his talent, particularly in that area, but maybe just sort of let his handling down, which, Williams is a more mobile second row, could just add a little different element to the attack and the mobility of the squad.
I will say, look, it is really good to see, Frost and Williams continue that form, and Williams has looked promising in that second row, and yeah, again, awesome to see Canham continue that into the loose forwards, and of course, probably no surprises at all to see no changes with Rob Valentini, Carlo Tizzano, and Harry Wilson, who retains the captaincy, finishing up as the loose forwards with Langy Gleeson coming off the bench. For that, Nick, do you reckon this is probably? I know that we all talked about that, how Harry McWright is going to come back in, but I do think that Carlo Tizzano is probably making a compelling case to either put himself in a permanent position on the bench or is, really actually pushing a claim for the starting side, even though he's surrounded by world-class talent. What are your thoughts about our loose forwards right now? Because it does feel like there's some seriously good depth in there that's starting to build.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fucking fantastic. Tizano's played really well. Homegrown WA products too. Why on earth an Italian kid would be playing rugby in Perth? I've got no idea, but thank God. Fantastic. I don't know what to say. McWright comes back. I'd say McWright comes back just because he's got that touch of class of Tizano, but Tizano, it's not bad. We're kind of getting back into pooper territory, to be honest, because you could see Tizano almost. He's hit all his tackles. Nathan, you probably have the stats. He's got 100%.
57.
57.
57 tackles.
You could almost push him blindside that kind of rate. I'm not sure how big he is, but it's fucking phenomenal, hey? And Queensland is unfortunately being proven right by Harry Wilson playing so bloody well too, but I'll never shut up. But yeah, great. And you just see Langy Gleeson on the bench. He's still, 22, 23?
Something stupid like that, yeah.
It's fine. It's good. This is why I'm positive. It's good that Joe's gone. I can get a good team from home. And I think as well, Carly Tizano is a Joe Schmidt player. Has a ton of heart. That's his biggest attribute.
It is a great point you make, and I do think, even though I think Langy Gleeson still needs just a little bit more time actually, instead of coming off the bench in the starting side, it's just great to see that he's putting his hand up in that position and that situation as well. Let's move on to the halves, and the halves is the big question mark. It's the big, the big open rot place in Australian rugby right now, and I think it's fair to say that the decision making and the processing here has raised a few eyebrows or two, but that's the nature of the beast here. We have Jake Gordon, who retains his spot at number 9, accompanied by Ben Donaldson, who will replace Noah Lolesio, who will take the week off, and then on the bench, Tate McDermott, who maintains his position in the side, and a certain Tom Liner. Nathan, walk us through exactly what is going on here, because coming into this game, I actually think Noah has progressed, since that second Springbok Test match going into last week, bar one or two little decision-making processes and, his growth and confidence. He seems to have, I think he's been improving a little bit. Why the sudden change now to bring Dono in?
Well, it's fitness. Simple as that. Basically what happened, Noah took in the last moments of that first test, just took a knock at the back of in the back, basically, the top of his back, and just it sort of seized it up. He's still sort of dealing with a bit of stiffness, so he's not back to full contact training yet, but it seems like it's nothing too major, hence the change. Ben Donaldson in at 10, and then Tom Liner, who's been dealing with a bit of a hamstring injury. He comes back onto the bench and gets his chance to finish off the game and enjoy another sort of progression in his career of international test overseas as we've established, one of the toughest places in the world. So, I mean, I'm excited to see how Ben Donaldson goes. If he adds a different running element in a sort of test match where it's going to be 27 and sunny, no rain on the deck for like a week or two, so it's going to be sort of the perfect conditions for him to actually display that running skill. So plus he's got that combo with Jake Gordon that works. So I think I thought Noah got better as the game went on. I thought his first 20 or 30 minutes were pretty average, but he sort of kept calm and got himself back into it. And it is a chance for Ben Donaldson to sort of throw up further questions with a great performance by the time we get back to Sydney for the Bledisloe.
Can I just say one thing about this fly half thing? Fuck. It would have been perfect on the weekend, would have been Reece Hodge.
All right, Squeeze, calm down.
I can't believe it.
Yeah. Just a boot.
I said before Squidge did.
That's true, you did. You did.
The big difference is we haven't got the following of Squidge. So it only mattered when Squidge said it.
I have the receipt.
We have the receipts. Maybe Squidge saw us and went, they've got it right there. So I'm gonna.
He's been saying our chat and just gone, yep, perfect. I can see all their shit takes.
Yeah.
Squidge, you'll be hearing from our lawyer about this particular one. Moving into the centres, and I'm not surprised by some of the choices here, and I like some of the choices here. This is what gave me the big tick of approval. Hamish Stewart retains his position. Len Ikitau also retains his position, but the player coming off the bench, Josh Fluke, which I think is ideal. In terms of either combinations, I think Fluke on one hand can serve as work really, really well with Hamish Stewart. On the other hand, depending on who goes off, could work as a great option at outside centre, or even combining in some way, shape, or form with Ikitau. But I think it'll probably be in that 13 position. Nick, what are our thoughts on this 20 on the centres positions? And I had good confidence after last week about Stewart. Do we like it? Was it one of the most positive things of last week?
Yeah, look, it was good to see Stewart finally get his start. I thought he composed himself pretty well, but I mean, I just couldn't take my eyes off Len Ikitau. To be honest,
he's in the loins. Made you feel good in the loins.
Oh yeah, no, just
what a man!
Fantastic. I can't believe he didn't get picked for the World Cup. And I remember the chats we had. I thought he was injured, but I just fucking fantastic. And to think as well, to kind of Hunter Paisami, it's been a bit disappointing, but yeah, it's great to see Hamish Stewart finally step up. And I think you're talking about Nathan saying a lot of the CEO played a bit better in the second half. I think as well, it was a bit of a push to him and Stewart to kind of get things moving a bit, and they did. There was a try that was it Jake Gordon scored, which was all, I think, from memory. It was Gordon and Ikitau, but I think fucking just fantastic, fantastic to see. So yeah, happy for them. Josh Fluke, yeah, look, another Queenslander. To me, I mean, he was a specialist fullback for a while. Or am I wrong with that?
Stewart was fullback / fly half before making the move to inside.
Right. But Fluke, yeah, look, the way, like I said before, Kellaway got one pass in the first half, so can't see the wingers having much action again. But it'll be interesting to see Fluke come on, see what he can do and what he adds. Because I mean, Tom Wright's out. I haven't been sold on Kellaway, but then again, he hasn't really got a lot of action.
Yeah, it's an interesting one to watch, and that leads us nicely onto the last part of the squad, which is the back three, which is, of course, Marika Koroibete starting at number 11. Kellaway shifts to the fullback, which I think is a really good move, seeing as he has proven himself to be quite effective at fullback and just really hasn't had much of a chance to shine at all for much of the tour so far, and even during the Rugby Championship. But the big one is the promotion of Max Jorgensen to the starting side at number 14. Nathan, this is a big move. I think it's. I mean, if you're going to do it, I think now is a good time to do it to bring Max into the starting side. Part of me has been worried that we are starting a bit too early with Max, and maybe 2025 after the Lions series might have been the best time to start bringing him in more regularly. But I mean, he's looked promising in gold so far.
He's shown that he can match it at test level. Like, that's the thing. Every step that he's taken has shown that he belongs. And this is just, as I said, the next regression. You look at players like the sort of chip over the top in the debut game against South Africa. The fact that he just found himself at the right space when no one made the break. Like, the kid's just got that X factor about him that in a situation like this, I think it's the perfect time to just unleash him. Like, you've already got a win. You've already got a win sort of in place. Win the bank, with what happened last week. Dry conditions, a bit of confidence around your sort of players, familiarity around his 10. So, this is a great chance to just see him be like, all right, how good is this kid? Can he be a regular starter and all of a sudden just add to the ridiculous depth that we have in the outside backs? And I'm interested to see what Kellaway can do at 15. Something that, as Nick sort of alluded to, hasn't really been able to touch the ball in the wet conditions in the last 2 or 3 games. So he's a steady head at the back there, and we'll actually get a chance to have a greater impact on the game than he has in past rugby championships.
It'll be good to see, hopefully he can actually kind of measure up and still coordinate that X factor that Wright has been bringing. Because I do know Kellaway has got great game awareness. He really surveys the game quite well in front of us and is able to pick things off well when given the chance to do so. And he really hasn't, out on the wing. He's still an experienced head. So I'm quite excited to see how it goes. So with that in mind, gentlemen, let's talk final predictions for both matches this weekend. Of course, Argentina playing against Australia in Santa Fe. And of course, we've also got the other match being South Africa playing the All Blacks in Cape Town. We'll start, of course, with just give us your 2 tips on who you think will be winning this weekend. Mr. Hartman, can we go back to back in Argentina?
Yep, we can. And for my career's sake, for engagement's sake, come on, New Zealand.
Yeah, no. What else can we say, Nathan?
I gave you the formula last week of Wallabies dominating by the scrum. It's what they did. It's going to be the same pattern this time. I'll give you the same score as well. Wallabies by 6.
Wallabies by 6.
And then I'll take the Springboks just to be different and to save some face with Russ and everyone else that might be listening to this. There's no chance they are, but still.
Well, you never know. There's a whole bunch of South Africans they're aware of us now. So there's a lot of loud folks shouting at us over there. But look, here's the test for me. This is the test for me, which is, the issue that we had during Dave Rennie's era was one week we'd turn up and produce a great performance, and the other one we get steamrolled. Bar that 1-5 match winning streak where we looked really, really good. So can we do it? Can we break that trend? Is there growth progressing here? Now is the time to show. I actually think, no hyperbole, this probably might be up there in the next 12 months. And I'm talking kind of in the context of just Joe Schmidt's tenure as well as leading into the Lions. This might be probably the most critical match of the in terms of preparation overall for the Lions. I actually reckon this might be the most critical match because they ended up a result which, realistically speaking, the bookies gave them no shot, no hope in hell. Can they do it again? Because if they can, then it really shows a natural progression of confidence and self-belief in the side that hasn't been existing beforehand. That confidence and self-trust hasn't really been present during the Wales series, not really against Georgia. They're kind of building and gelling together, which is the key things. South Africa, they came up against a side that is just clearly on another level right now in terms of their growth and development and their management. This is a clear idea and sense of where they are right now. And if they can go back to back, I think it is a huge critical result in the context of the long-term development of the Wallabies, both under Schmidt and whoever is being picked off or discussed in the wings as his successor, whether that be after the 2027 World Cup or if he chooses to continue on, or even after the Lions. So, one to watch, interesting to watch. Head says, interestingly, Springboks do not have a good record in Cape Town, so I'm just going to go All Blacks based on that purely, but also just because the Saffers have been hilarious this week, and it would be amazing to just watch them freak out again. Even if they win, even if they lose, we win, because they're going to freak out about something. That's just how they operate. Screw it. I am going to say, argument's sake, fuck it. I'm just going to say Argentina because that worked last time, so I'm hoping that it works again this time. Cheers, gentlemen. I know. Look at me like that in shame. I know. Short and sweet. Again, we did it. We are all currently working. We all have to go back to work. But enjoy your rugby this weekend, folks. And a special Lekker good time to all of our new South African followers. Lions.
Yeah.